3. So on opening weekend, which was a while ago, I think like 2 weeks ago, maybe more, I saw Thor Ragnarok, and I am learning the hard way that I should probably make these reviews much closer to when I actually watch these things. But it's a work in progress. I'm gonna learn. It's my techne or whatever. And I thought this would be a great time to talk about these critic databases, because there is a bunch of heat between Justice League and Rotten Tomatoes right now. And I have to be honest, I don't really care. Basically, what is happening right now is, okay, people are saying Rotten Tomatoes is the problem. But I think if you're going to look at who is being sneaky or whatever, it's probably Warner Brothers, and even that I don't really care about. So what happens is when you get, I mean, I guess it happens for all movies, but it doesn't really matter unless it is this big motion picture, big blockbuster. You have these embargo acts. Ooh, throwback to A-Push. You have these embargoes on the movies, and what that means is you can see the movie ahead of time. Like, for Thor Ragnarok, people are seeing, like, 3 months early, and you can tweet about it. You could say, ooh, fun. You can't talk about any of the actual plot of the movie. You can just say, in 140 characters or less, or I guess now it's 280, ooh, that was good, ooh, that was rough, ooh, that actor shines. That is what you can say. You cannot say, ooh, can you believe the big reveal? Or you can't even say things that aren't spoilers. You can't say, oh, that opening shot of when yada 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 yada. You could just say, oh, the opening shot was interesting. That's it. Basically, once the embargo is lifted, that is when you can get both their non-spoiler and just spoiler reviews. It is very different from Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's embargo was supposed to be like the week before Wonder Woman came out, which is what is happening with Justice League.
The tweets were all really good, so then they lifted the embargo. I keep saying act. Thank you, A-Push.
Here we have Justice League, and Wonder Woman's getting good word of mouth, so they lifted the embargo, they got the good reviews in. Justice League has been getting pretty mixed reviews, and so they are waiting till the last minute. They released this midnight yesterday. They released the embargo, and clearly it comes out Friday. I am seeing it Friday with my film class. Rotten Tomatoes, which is clearly the king of the critics, and I do not use Rotten Tomatoes, which I will get into in a second, but it's the king, and they said, oh, no, we're not going to release these numbers. We're going to release them exactly a day after to get the tomato score. And people thought that was kind of ridiculous. A lot of people, myself included, don't really care that they're posting this a day later, but other people are thinking this is showing that Rotten Tomatoes does not care about the age-old man, or, well, the age-old movie goer, I guess I should say. So basically, Rotten Tomatoes was not started as a company. It was started by a guy who just liked Jackie Chan movies and couldn't get find a review for a certain Jackie Chan movie. I think it was something like Rush Hour. He started this thing, so it was clearly for the fans. It was clearly for people to find reviews. Later on, Warner Bros. And Fandango, currently, I don't know if there were people before, bought it out, which is fine. And that, well, it's not fine. That's actually why I stopped trusting Rotten Tomatoes, not the Warner Bros. Part. Because clearly, you know, a lot of those Warner Bros. Properties gets bad reviews. It's clearly the critics making it. What I don't trust is Fandango owning it, because Fandango is going to want to sell tickets. So I have always, since then, been a little hesitant towards Rotten Tomatoes. Then you can find a great video by Screen Junkies on this. That was the official video that made me cut ties with Rotten Tomatoes. I use Metacritic, because Rotten Tomatoes is kind of lying to you about what the site is telling you. And yes, they have the information under, but I don't want to search for it. I don't want that game. And so I switched to Metacritic, which if you watch the video, basically Rotten Tomatoes, that score is not what people gave the movie. That's the score of people who tell you you should see the movie. That's just kind of ridiculous, because you can see movies you don't like. I do it all the time, like Thor Ragnarok, but we'll get into that later. I'm going to talk about my beef with Metacritic currently right now. And that is that Metacritic lets you, and I don't know about Rotten Tomatoes because, like I said, I don't use Rotten Tomatoes. And even if I did use Rotten Tomatoes, I really don't care about this Justice League thing just because I feel like, does it really matter? You've already, if you're going to see Justice League and you are definitely going to see opening day, you probably already bought your tickets. I don't even think they're selling out. I just don't think it's that big of a thing, and I think it's just the, very passionate people who care, and I don't think they're thinking about what they say they're with the normal moviegoer here, but I don't think they actually are. But Metacritic, you can downgrade people's reviews, and I can say Thor Ragnarok, with 3 people saying it was a good review, and 14-ish people saying it is a bad review, is now the best percentage I have.
And that's really because I just write reviews and I don't expect them to get upvoted or downvoted. Because most of them I write are for movies I watch on DVD that came out years ago or whatever.
I just, like, it's never bothered me. I just think it's a bit of a corrupt system when the reason you're seeing all these positive reviews at the top is because you get these fans who are just like, I am not going to listen to anyone and I'm going to downvote it. And I know what I'm saying is true because if you look at other people who give Thor Ragnarok a low vote, they all have about the same number of downvotes. So yeah, I'm starting to trust Metacritic less, but I still trust Metacritic way more than I trust Rotten Tomatoes. Now let's get into Thor Ragnarok. And the reason we're going to get into Thor Ragnarok is because right after Thor Ragnarok, a week later, I saw Wonderstruck. And Wonderstruck soared into my top 5 movies of 2017. But what I don't want is, since this is the first review, I'm going to be kind of crazy in this review and make Wonderstruck not look as good as it is. So I'm like, first I'll go into this movie I hate that I think is going to be the second worst movie of 2017. The first being Beauty and the Beast. But I digress. Okay, so here's the big problem with Thor Ragnarok I had, is that the comedy strikes more of like an hour-long cartoon special, which is not a bad thing, you know? I feel like it wasn't a blockbuster-style comedy. It was a comedy that doesn't really, mesh well for 2 hours. You know, Marvel movies are really long, and it was just kind of lacking. It seemed very much geared towards the little boy. And if we're gonna be real, if we're gonna talk demographics, Disney knows they have to hit that little boy demographic. That is literally what they're going after. And people can say they're for girls, they're for all that, and that's true, but if they don't hit that little boy demographic, there's a problem, because that is what they're going after. And that's just true of any movie. We can pretend anyone can enjoy a movie, but there are certain kinds of people who are going to enjoy it more. And I felt like this was very much for kids in that sense. Even though there were some adult jokes, it was very much for kids. And I feel like if this was an hour-long comedy, I would have enjoyed this so much more if this was it felt very animated. And the other thing, I think you could easily compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is not regarded as the best Marvel movie. I liked that one more than I liked this one, but it's an unpopular opinion to not like Thor Ragnarok. It's an even more unpopular opinion to say Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is better. But I thought it was the Collector in Thor Ragnarok. Jeff Goldblum's character is apparently the brother of the Collector or something, which I only found out when I was writing my review for Metacritic. And I just feel like it was kind of all over the place. Like, they make this joke with some of the soundtrack songs, and it just took me right out of the movie. And I'm sure if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm just keeping this spoiler free because I already went on that Rotten Tomatoes rant, and it's been a while since I've seen the film, so I'm sure I will forget something. I also think it's just going too crazy. I saw it and I was like, what is up with these colors? And then I think Thor made a comment of like, what's up with these colors? There's this whole issue of the Hulk. Nobody wants a Hulk movie. I was fighting with and when I say fighting, it was a fun debate with my family because they were like, why haven't we got a whole Hulk movie yet? And I was like, who wants that? Who wants a Hulk movie? First off, we have one. I have not seen it because I don't want a Hulk movie. I don't care about some weird green thing. If I was going to see a superhero movie we haven't had yet, who is going to choose the Hulk over the Black Widow? The Black Widow, in theory, is a very interesting character, and there's so much they could do with her that they just don't. It is frustrating. And you know what else is frustrating? And a character is that Loki, who is literally the star of the Thor franchise. Don't even kid yourself. It is Loki. It is not Thor. Loki is not in this movie enough. Oh, I should also make the disclaimer, I never saw The Dark World. I saw the first one on demand. The other thing I wanted to bring up as my big points, because the little points, it's been so long that I just kind of forgot them by now. The other big point was people keep applauding Kate Blanchett's performance as whatever her name was, Helene, Villain, whatever, is that her wardrobe, I feel like, was missing. And, I mean, that head thing's cool, fine, but the bodysuit and the other person had a bodysuit, I guess she was really uncomfortable in it, because she was walking really weirdly in the movie, and I feel like it was just this uncomfortable thing. Like, I feel like they missed it in the costuming departments, and that Kate Blanchett probably could have done better if they did not put her in this not even that great outfit, TBH. I do want to make the disclaimer here when I talked about the humor, is that Taika Waititi, if you see his interviews on Thor Ragnarok, they are really funny. They're really funny. So I'm not exactly saying no to What We Do in the Shadows or Hunt for Wilder People. I'm just saying I don't think it translated into Thor. And those are really my big points on Thor Ragnarok. So that with the Rotten Tomatoes views, this is getting kind of long. I don't know how long is too long. But I gave it a 3 or 4 out of 10. Right now I'm leaning towards 3, just to be super extra mean. Bye.